A clash of priorities is simmering in the country. And of course, this with allies to the Right Honorable Raila Odinga crying foul. They say there is sabotage on the handshake or of the handshake about 3 years into it. Senator Orengo claims that high-ranking government officials are undermining the handshake. They have threatened to call it quits if the government officials will not be told off. Now, we look at that and much more on the matters of politics, but also we do not forget, yes, to celebrate the women out there in this special day. And we'll be having powerful women as we discuss the progress and what drags us behind. Yes, what drags us behind. How many times have we talked about how best we can empower the girl child, push it to another level, ensure that, we find ourselves spaces, inclusivity, talk of finding ourselves, spaces on matters politics, on matters leadership. Yet sometimes we find ourselves not reaching our goals. Of course, the most common one right here in the country, the two-third gender rule, and just how we can work around things to ensure that even as we speak of empowering the girl child, the boy child is not left behind. Karibu sana, this is Morning Cafe. My name is Linda Alela. Beautiful Monday as we look forward to an incredible an incredible week ahead. Karibu sana. It's good to interact with us. Hashtag Morning Cafe at Linda_Alela TV47KE. Remember, we said we are opening the platform for you to celebrate this woman that you think is worth celebrating this morning. As we say, kudos to all the mothers out there. So let's kickstart the broadcast. Yes, the broadcast begins right now as we look at what has been captured. And here we are. And as always, we have the dailies. We look at the newspapers. It's important that we look at what it is that has been captured in the papers. Of course, the story of what has played out in terms of politics throughout the weekend. Importantly, celebrating the women out there. And so as we take a look at this, it is important that we get into that. I am surprised that this is not opening yet. We're here. Just a second. All right. We might have to cast it afresh. Yes, worry not. I got you covered. Yes, the newspapers, speaking of, the handshake, the shaky handshake, so to speak. And here we are. Yes. Good. Tall enough. Yes. All right. So we have the Standard newspaper, the People Daily, and the Daily Nation. Briefly look at what it is that has been captured on the front page of the Standard newspaper. Uhuru's night call that calmed Raila. Calmed on what? Well, ODM leader Raila Odinga had planned to go back to Kibra bedroom to discuss matters BBI. And as it was sent to the newsrooms, or that statement that was there to invite the newsrooms in regards to that, well, it was circulating, and we all expected that Right Honorable Raila Odinga would be there. But a call from from the president and also the advisors, or the president to his advisors, got these plans frozen, or so to speak. And on the eve of its third anniversary, the pact may require more than just a call. That is a story that has been captured on page 4 and 5. We extensively look at what is of the handshake this morning, even as these conversations of it being in trouble are rife. And so we'll be discussing that alongside my panelists, just to get to hear their views and their feel in regards to the same. They say countdown to flare up. And yes, we look in depth as to what exactly this means and whether these really could be genuine or not. But away from it, professionals making career out of dowry negotiations. That's an interesting one. Yes, those oldies who are known for that, and so they go out there to discuss on behalf of the parents, ensure that they get enough or good money out of the suitors in regards to this. And so it's an interesting one. Nice piece that is worth reading. Different story reveals teachers to get better salaries under CBC. Will this be one thing that will make them celebrate or appreciate this move? Good tidings. New job evaluation finally recognizes the big role class teachers are playing in CBC rollout, and so setting the stage for higher pay. That is in July, when their current 54 billion pay deal lapses. And of course, the previous evaluation favored head teachers. That's a story captured on page 2. You get intense, or you extensively get to look into that as we proceed. COVID-19, 1 year on, how Africa was spared the grim projections. A story captured on page 6 and 8. We're talking this at a point where the vaccine has gotten into the country, something that has been celebrated so far. To the Daily Nation, Mudavadi Moi factor in 2022 plot. One of the key figures that have been looked at as people who are being fronted and maybe are the biggest threat to the handshakers at now. So succession politics. ODM leader Raila Odinga's allies have alleged a plan by state operatives to scuttle the handshake with President Uhuru Kenyatta by supporting the ANC or KANU leader for the presidency in next year's general election. A story captured on page 4. We look at that extensively alongside my panelists. One of the key figures that have been, put on the spot is Interior Principal Secretary Karanja Kibicho. And of course, he's at the center of this particular political storm, with ODM asking President Kenyatta to exclude him from the Building Bridges Initiative campaigns. And so the party says Dr. Kibicho has established a parallel command, or a command base using the civil servants to popularize the initiative. There are fears of a plot to abandon ODM leader Raila Odinga. We discuss that later on. What grade 4 test looks like, and the Pioneer grade 4 class and the new school curriculum is set to begin the first ever formative assessment today, marking the beginning of the end of Standard 8 national exams under the competency-based curriculum. The test to be administered, marked and graded by teachers will hugely contribute about 20% to their final score at the end of a primary school. We'll be looking at this as we proceed. We need to get someone on board, like we've always promised, who's well conversant with matters CBC, so they can guide us through in understanding this. A story captured on page 8. Away from it, sad one right here. Murder, why the mystery has deepened. Did Kevin Kimayo kill his lover Charity Cheboy and Hassan Alan before taking his life? There are still many unanswered questions in regards to this. A story captured on page 10 and 12. This one is a murder. Remember that story where the father of this child, in a way, who were divorced with the mother, was worried that the child was not going to school, got into this place and realized that they had died inside their house alongside the lover of the mother. Quite a twist and turn right there as the investigative bodies continue to try and establish what could have informed that. Big story also right here on Matters Politics. Blow to Raila as Kaya elders support Joho Kingi push for Coast political party. That's a story that has been captured on page 5 of the Daily Nation at a time when the Right Honorable Raila Odinga concluded his coast tour, trying to talk to the people of the coast, telling them it is not fair or it is not wise for them to have a political party that is just for the coast, because this would go or would come in, as a way of trying to segregate them from the rest of the country. And pain of rising fuel prices, high prices hurt homes and businesses after knocks of COVID-19. A story captured on the back page. Equally on Matters Electricity, the prices going up, getting people a bit worried on just what way forward at a time when we still continue to grapple with tough times on Matters Economy. And to the People Daily, women who stood out in addressing COVID challenges in their special way of celebrating the women today on this International Day, or in this international celebrations for the women. A story captured on page 8 and 9. BBI unity test as Raila allies cry sabotage. ODM leader leaves supporters guessing after skipping city rally, at which major announcement was expected after key party leaders accused powerful PS of betrayal. That is a story captured on page 4. Kibicho stranger to controversy. Well, that's an interesting conversation worth having, and that's exactly what we'll be having this morning, as Junet Mohammed, who is part of the Secretariat, argues if he must continue meddling in the work of the Secretariat, then he argues that they, as ODM, will be left with no choice but to abandon the BBI. On the other hand, Dennis Waweru says he is not aware of anything, and he says if there are any concerns, we are going to discuss and come up with a solution and a way forward. Counties to roll out COVID vaccination as stocks arrive into the respective counties. A story captured on page 7. Well, after that release of the vaccine into the country, and then officially this has to proceed to the counties. Remember, the key people that have been considered as one, as a lot that should be getting these vaccines first, the medics, that is the frontline workers, well, government officials, equally very important, on matter security also, and a couple of people who have, pre-existing conditions also have been considered to be, the people who should be getting this. About 1.2 million vaccines that landed into the country already. We've seen different officials or a couple of officials having gotten that. Just are in court after dramatic Mia's arrest, 2 nights in cells. We also discussed the intolerance that we have witnessed on matters politics, that is during the by-election, even as we still have others, that lie ahead. The senatorial position of Machakos County, equally that one of Garissa, alongside that is the constituency elections that we're expecting. That is in Bonchari, and also on this other side of Juja. We'll be looking at that, even as the IEBC has already declared that these individuals who wish to front their interest in regards to, going it for these particular races, it is important that they proceed to ensure that they have declared their interest latest. They say political parties have until today to furnish the commission with candidates intending to vie in the upcoming by-election slated for May the 18th. And so we'll be looking at that as we proceed. And like we said earlier on, Muturi outwits Munya for Mount Kenya East spokesperson after coronation. What does it mean? What is the significance of this, especially when we're talking matters 2022 politics? And so we'll be discussing all this as we proceed with the broadcast. We expect to have our guest this morning, the DG for Kisii County, Honorable Joash Mangi. We also expect to have a communications advisor, Barak Muluka, and the speaker for Nyeri County, that is Nunkagushia. They will be joining us for this conversation this morning. So make sure that you keep it right here, even as you keep sending those comments. We'll get